I bet you never thought you'd see the day with a 60-card Argostar pile would be on this channel. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it is your host with the most, Avery LR32. You're going to destroy the ever-living trap card boo-boo stain off that like and subscribe button. So we climb even higher, 1,500 ladder. We're only 10 away from 1,600. So if you got a friend, a cat, a dog, a neighbor who has a YouTube channel, or a YouTube account, rather, God, I sound old, be sure to have them subscribe to the channel. Would really mean a lot to me. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Want to take a couple days off after the last video I made just to kind of chill out from the game, just kind of mess around with some stuff casually. Now that the format's done, we don't have any more regionals here in Florida, or at least not any I care to go to. There's one in Hollywood, but it's such a small regional. Once you get 2 losses, you're out. I don't feel like driving 5 hours, almost 5 hours, to go down and get absolutely bombasted at a regional when I just don't care about the format anymore, right? The end of this format really left a bad taste in my mouth, and if you watched my last video, you know what I'm talking about. So I want to mess around with some stuff a little bit more casually and stuff that can maybe have a chance to break into the format. And so for those of you who maybe don't know or didn't watch my live stream where I opened up a case of Supreme Darkness, I talked about I really like the Argostar deck. The Argostar deck is just really interesting, and ever since 2 years ago now, actually, when I played that 60-card Eldritch, basically it was a Eldritch Skill Drain, Floodgate, Mystic Mine pile, because Mystic Mine was still legal 2 years ago. Ever since then, I've had such an attraction to 60-card piles, especially 60-card like trap pile decks. And this was something I really wanted to make, and that the Odeon / Temple of the King stuff really got me thinking about. And so Konami advertised this Temple of the King's crap to work with Argostars, which technically it does. You just have to build it correctly, because Argostar, even with their new support coming in Alliance Insight with Giant Hunting and then the Fierce Parthay, which we're obviously not playing in this deck, the deck is still kind of dog water. Like, it's a shifter deck at best, but the support's kind of all over the place. They definitely need like a new wave of support. Like, they need a Link 1, they need better continuous traps, they need the whole 9, right? So I wanted to put something together that could hopefully be competitive or break out competitively somehow. And this is what I've been working on. There are some things that I've been kind of back and forth on, such as like the cross out, the home stadium, and like the extravs. The prosperity actually just got added in as I accidentally just cut it from the deck like a Momo. But it does work very well. It works very consistently. Opening Aedra plus Treasure of the Kings is still full combo without Man with the Mark. And even if you just open Treasures of the Kings, you could set, say, like a hand trap that gives you 2 set cards because you're going to set a Popus trap, and you can still have full combo that way, right? So there are some workarounds. So we'll get into all that. Let's go ahead and go through the deck list. So starting off, we're playing 3 Nibiru, 3 Anubis with 1 of the Merciless Scorpion of Circuit. This is fine because you can banish either the Anubis or the Nibs. Also, something I just realized recently is that Anubis's effect, where you send back 2 cards with different names that are Temple of the Kings and or traps, is not once per turn. So if you have, say, like 3 Anubis in your grave, and you have like 6 traps all with different names in your grave, say like, you know, all these down here, you could send back, say, like Swift Capane and Lightning Tydo to summon 1. You could send back Anguish Pattern and an Imperm to summon the second one, and then like 2 of the Apopuses to summon the third. So this isn't once per turn in that regard, and I think that that's really interesting, especially like if you want to reuse your Argostar traps and they're in the grave, and like say you don't have access to home stadium, that is available to you. Of course, the Merciless Scorpion is kind of a brick if you don't have Temple of the Kings, the OG version, or the field spell. 3 copies of Aedra, 3 copies of Man with the Skid Mark, as I like to call it, 3 Fualos, 3 Pirelli, with 3 Ash, 3 Droll, 3 Valor. And then for the spells, we're playing 1 Rhoda, 2 Pot of Extravagance with a Terraforming and Prosperity. This was a 3rd extrav, but you really need a Popus in your extra deck. Same with the Silhouette Rabbit. And then we're playing 3 copies of Giant Hunting. So this is a new card coming out of Alliance Insight. So you add an Argostar monster from deck to your hand. Then if you control a continuous trap in your monster zone or a continuous trap in your spell and trap zone with an effect that special summons itself as a monster, immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon 1 warrior monster. That's really important because if you open up, say, like Giant Hunting and Man with the Mark, well, through Man with the Mark, you're going to have a continuous trap on your field. That can summon itself as a monster. So then you can go Giant Hunting to get Adra, and then that gives you an additional normal summon so that you can bridge into your Argostar combo, which gives you Lightning Tidal and Swift Capane, which can both be linked off to make Silhouette Rabbit to set either an Apopus Serpent, a Swamp Deity, or a Anguish Pattern. It's really good in that regard. Its second effect is kind of irrelevant. It's just that during your main phase, you can banish this card from your grave, target 2 cards on the field, including an Argostar Continuous Trap you control, return them to the hand. You can only use 1 effect per turn and only once that turn. So like if you're in like a grind game and you've got like an Argostar Continuous Trap, say like Swift Capane or Lightning Tidal on the board, you could bounce it to hand and bounce an opponent's card, and then since you're banishing the Giant Hunting, you can still get it back because Home Stadium's just going to get you there. It's cute. Hasn't really come up. 3 copies of Crossout because we're playing a boatload of hand traps, and this deck really gets dunked on by Imperm or Valor on either the Adra or the Man with the Mark. Adra, especially if it gets hit with Valor or Imperm, its normal summon effect to where the opponent can't respond with the can't activate cards or effects in response to your continuous traps. This is a mandatory on normal summon effect. So it's not even something you can choose not to do and then just use the effect to banish for cost to play out your 2 cards. Even honestly, like, I don't know how big of a deal it is, but it's definitely a big deal in the sense that it starts a chain. But even if the opponent was just like, oh, on summon, negate, they really should have made this thing a quick effect so that you could banish it for cost that this really couldn't be hand trapped. Then this card would be like absolutely broken. It would be so much better. I don't know why they didn't put that on this card. 1 OG Temple of the Kings, 1 Home Stadium, 3 Treasure of the Kings. So, like I said, I'm back and forth on Home Stadium. Because if you don't play Home Stadium, then Lightning Tidal gets you to either another Swift Capane, which isn't all that good, or it gets you to a Giant Hunting, which is decent, I guess, but you want a better way to recycle your cards. I'll be showing the combos off in the video over on Dueling Book, but yeah, I feel like it's kind of a card you have to play. For the traps, we're playing 3 Imperm, 3 Anguish Pattern, 1 Lightning Tidal with 3 Swamp Deity, 3 Swift Capane, and 3 Apopus the Serpent. So the Anguish Pattern is actually really good as a 3 of because this stacks. By that, I mean if you have 2 Anguish Pattern on the field and you summon, say, like Swift Capane, you're popping 2 cards. Like, that's fucking crazy. Or, like, you could go, like, Anguish Pattern and draw phase to summon. Use another Anguish Pattern later to summon it, and then Anguish Pattern's going to pop a card. Then if you summon another Continuous Trap, you're going to pop 2 cards like that. This Anguish Pattern card's crazy. The extra deck is still in the works. The only things that I know for a fact that you need to play 3 of is like 2 to 3 copies of Silhouette Rabbit and then 2 to 3 copies of Apopus just because you're on Extrav. The rest is whatever you want. 3 Exciton, 3 Little Knight, 3 Sky Crisis. It just all depends on how you want to play this. So let me see if I can kind of get some test hands here. This hand's actually pretty crazy. Let me see if I can get a test hand in here with Adra. If it will load. Okay, well, this gives us Adra regardless, so I can at least show it off here, right? Let's see. So we're going to activate the Rhoda, of course. This is actually just going to be the basic Argostar line. So we're going to go Adra. And then we're going to normal summon Adra. Of course, its effect has to activate on normal summon. This is where we can really get boned with like a Valor or something because then this whole combo gets shut down, which is... It is what it is. I mean, you suffer the same thing as you would like if you were playing straight Temple of the Kings, where like it's the same thing on Man with the Mark. So you're going to banish, you're going to place up to 2. It doesn't have to be 2, it's just up to 2. We're going to go ahead and use Lightning Tidal, which kind of sucks, but since you have to ditch a card, but it is what it is. We're going to summon this. Of course, we're going to pitch the Perulia because it's dead going first. We're going to get the Home Stadium to our hand. This is where I feel like Home Stadium is kind of necessary because of the recurability that it gives you. So you're going to activate this, and then you're going to use the Swift Capane to summon this out. Since you have a banished Argostar, you're going to gain 500 from the Swift Capane, and then the Home Stadium is going to deal 500 damage. That's not once per turn. That's just over and over again. And then once per chain, if a continuous trap activates its effect in your monster zone, while you have a banished Argostar monster, you can target a face-up card your opponent controls negates effects at the end of this turn. So like if these are on the field, you can use one place in the back row, and then on a new chain, use the Home Stadium to negate one of the opponent's cards. Hasn't really come up in testing because you're basically just always linking these away to go for the Silhouette Rabbit, which this is actually kind of a decent setup because now you can go Silhouette Rabbit and then you're going to go set the Apopus Serpent, and then here this technically represents a double trap monster because during the opponent's turn you can activate this and set the Swamp Deity, and then because of Serpent you can activate the Swamp Deity, so you know you're going to get at least one negate. But then with Home Stadium, you pay 1,000, you can get Swift Capane back to your hand. So now you have an additional counter trap that you could just activate. You don't have to summon it. You could just activate it in your back row. And the way that Swamp Deity is worded is that it negates cards on the opponent's field up to the number of other continuous traps you control. So you could just activate Swift Capane in the back row, not summon it, and then you can negate an additional card. So you're getting up to 2 negates between these two with the Swamp Deity. And then what's nice with Giant Hunting, if you happen to open this or search it, whatever the case may be, since it's a quick play, since you're going to control a continuous trap monster, you can use the Giant Hunting to summon out Adra, and then its effect will automatically activate on normal summon to where the opponent can't activate any cards or effects in response to your continuous traps. That is a really busted interaction on top of like any sort of hand traps that you open up. Plus, you've also got the Silhouette Rabbit, where if you summon a trap monster, you're going to pop a back row. So you've got multiple layers of interruption, and if the opponent can't kill you on the next turn, you're basically just going to snowball into a bunch of advantage, because then Home Stadium is going to get you back another card. Maybe it gets you back a Giant Hunting, or it even gets you back a Lightning Tyto. You can summon another Adra, place the Lightning Tyto face up, and then you just start snowballing recursion after recursion after recursion. Other than that, it basically just operates like a standard Temple of the King's trap deck. Even this hand's not terrible, because you're going to be popping at least one card with the Anguish pattern. You've got 2 hand traps plus the cross out. This makes me not want to play cross out. This makes me want to play another 3 set of hand traps instead, so that we bump it up to 24. But you do have, technically a few interruptions. If you're in a mirror match, that you can obviously banish something. You're drawing a Popus the Serpent for turn, so it's not the best thing to draw, but it can start snowballing you into advantage, I guess. Here, you've got your 1 starter, but you're sitting on 4 hand traps. So like if the opponent ashes you, you're just going to pass turn on an open board and follows the crap out of them, and then just move on with your day. Yeah, I mean, this isn't the best thing in the world. This hand's dog shit, clearly, because you open the brick and double cross out. This makes me want to just play more hand traps, but yeah, this is what makes me think it's still a work in progress, if it even has legs at all. This is actually really crazy. This is actually a perfect example of where you can still play with Adra plus Temple of the Kings, because you can go Temple of the Kings to set 1 and then summon Adra so that they can't respond. You do the whole song and dance until you get to Home Stadium, and then you can use Treasure of the Kings to go off from there. But that is the gist of how the deck works. Really interested to see what you guys think about this. I would love to make it work. I want to make Argostars be competitive in some way, shape, or form. So I figured I'd throw my thoughts out there to the community. I'm sure someone's just going to say that this is dog shit, and quite honestly, it probably is. But if I see another Rizal card in my feed, I'm going to lose my mind. So, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.